I'm Miriam Joy and welcome to my studio. Today we're working on our Inspirational Rocks, and these are little owls. They're really fun to do. They're really inexpensive to make, and it's a trend right now that's kind of going around. So let's make some fun rocks and let's get started. For our frosted lace, we're going to be using caulking, which is a latex caulk silicone, and you always want to make sure that it is white. It does come in clear and different colors, so we want to make sure that we have white. And I use Alex Plus, and I pick mine up in Walmart, and I pay less than $2 for it, so it makes it very affordable to be able to use this, and this will go a long ways. So once you're ready to use this, I use it with a caulk gun, and I just cut the tip off. The farther up you cut it, the more is going to come out at a time, so that's up to you. And just simply set it into your gun and start to pull that until the caulk starts to come out the front, and we'll put that directly into our mold. Inspirational rocks are really big right now. People love to make them and kind of hide them for people to find, or put a bunch together to take one. So I did the owls, and this is one of our molds, and we've got 3 different owls, and we've got some trees or some feathers. You could use these two either way. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put our caulking on. It doesn't take that much, and see if we need a little bit more, and we'll cover that up in a second here. And then I'm going to take my scraper, and the molds and the scrapers are both found at miriamjoy.com. And what we want to do is fill up all of the little holes in the mold, and keep the stuff off the top as much as possible to make it easier to clean later on. And you can see how little that actually is using, but I want to show you I've got spaces here, here, and here that I still need to fill up. And I'm using something to do it on, and if you don't, you do it on a table or something, make sure you wipe it off right afterwards. You can add coloring to this, but you want to do it before you put it in, because it's kind of, the caulking is sealed afterwards, so it's better to apply the color before hand. And this is going to take us right up to that very last one, and we want to get this off as much as possible, but you don't want to pick up or scrape any of the other that you already have on. And I need to make sure that my scraper is as wide as my mold, so I don't run a line down the middle or anything like that. But that is good to go, and so we're going to let that dry, and we'll talk about how long to dry when we get ready to take it out. Once I'm all done with that, I'm going to go ahead and clean this off. You could peel it off later if you wanted to, but it's easier to do it now. And then to put your caulking away, I just simply take a plastic baggie. You could use saran wrap, anything you wanted to seal it, and I just put a rubber band around it till it's airtight. I've literally had one over a year and it was still good, and then I just stored it just like that. So that's up to you what you want to put on it, but then you can save it for your next project. I use usually let these dry overnight, and you can kind of tell when they're dry because they'll pop up really easy and nothing will be sticking to the bottom. So that's kind of how you can tell they dry. It's going to depend on your weather. It's going to depend on how warm it is and everything else, on how fast, because I know I'll get questions on that. So just when it kind of reaches that stage. And I've tried to hurry this along, like putting it in a low temp oven and stuff, and it just hasn't worked well for me. So, but now that we've done that, we're going to remove all of this extra stuff on here, and think about it kind of like clearing a stained glass window so you can see through it. All of these little guys in here, where if there's a part that's still there, you're going to have kind of gunk in there, and it won't be nice and crisp. So that's what we're trying to get rid of, is all of those little pieces like that, so that it is nice and clean. And if you happen to take it out, you can still stick it back in. And what I do is I just take a little bit of water and I just dip my finger the smallest amount I can, and I rub to make this all clean. And we just go all the way through all of our owls and just clean this whole part off. But you're looking, any of these little guys that we need to clean up, and it makes a little bit of a mess. So the white stuff does. You might want to do it on a tray if you're sitting in the living room or something, so you don't have to go vacuum after you're done. My husband's vacuumed lots lately. I'll sit down and do these a bunch at a time. I'll do all my molds and have them set up so I can use them when I want them, that they're all done. And see this little guy right here? He's got a bunch of little ones here. And I want to try and get those as well as I can. I might not be able to get quite that part there, but the rest of that looks pretty good. So let's take a look at him. And we have him all cleared out. So that looks really, really good. And he's pretty firm. He's going to stretch, but you'll be really surprised on how nice these really, really do turn out. They don't break really easy. So let's get ready to finish our project here. Once you've cleaned your owls off and got all of the stuff off in between, all we're going to do is simply glue them to our rock. If you want a bigger one so that you can write something, just make sure your rocks are clean, that you've washed them, and that they're also dry. But I thought on this one I would not put words on him. You do have a front and a back. You can tell you'll have a smoother side and a rougher side, and this is our smooth side that was face down into our mold. And we don't have any colors or anything else on this. I did use an Idena pen. Because this is sealed, I don't have to put any varnish over the top of it. So if you wanted to use a Sharpie, you could do that and write some words or some squigglies, whatever you wanted to do. And then I am going to flip it back over, and for the rock, I liked E6000. It seemed to attach to the rock better, but try different ones. There's different spray adhesives out there, and you might find one you like better. It makes it easier than trying to paint it on. And on these, we need to wait about 1 to 3 minutes. We want it coated enough that it's very tacky. If you have any parts that aren't tacky, you really should hit them again. But you see, I had quite a bit there, and I should have probably held that back a little bit further. So we're going to let him dry a couple minutes, and we're just going to put him on the rock. So now that we've kind of got that little bit tacky and dry, I'm just going to set this on and let it finish drying all the way and push that down. Just remember each one of these works a little bit differently. I like him with some eyes. I think the black really kind of offsets it. This one I did with my pen, and this one I did with a tulip paint puffs. You could do some little beads or stones or whatever. Just glue those on with E6000. They might have a tendency to fall off a little bit easier on a project like this, but it's totally up to you on what you like and what you want to use. Another thing that you can do with this is if you wanted to use this as a stencil, you could as well. So there's lots of different things that we can do with this. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you really enjoyed our video. For our supplies, come on over to miriamjoy.com and you can pick them up there. If you ever have a question, please email us at art@miriamjoy.com. God bless.